Ash has been holding out on us. Well, at least me, and probably anyone else who trusted Warframe to show you the damage you're dealing. See, here we have an Ash with no mods equipped on neither him nor his melee weapon. And here we have an Ash with some mods equipped on his weapon, but otherwise no changes. When the unmodded Ash hits an enemy with Bladestorm, they take 2000 damage and a slash proc 3 times over, and proceed to bleed a bit. When the Ash with a modded weapon hits the same type and level of enemy, the enemy again takes 2000 damage and a slash proc with each hit, and proceeds to die very quickly. Like I said, Ash has been holding out on us, but I'm going to fix that. I'll show you what's going on here and how to get the most out of Bladestorm. I'm Nick Engineer, let's solve a practical problem. First, a little bit of background. I've talked about Ash in the past and even provided statistic guidance. I've observed the damage numbers that pop up and used those numbers to inform my suggestions. I'm also not alone in this. Others have read the ability card, seen what Ash's damage numbers are, and come to the same conclusion. Even the Warframe wiki at the time of writing, recently recognised as the official Warframe wiki by the way, so congratulations on that, has apparently been bamboozled given it's missing half of the ability. Arguably the stronger half. Now, I've not gone diving into other sources to see how long Ash has been like this, mostly so we can keep the history brief and instead look at the present. Ash's Bladestorm ability says it will project fierce shadow clones of Ash upon groups of distant enemies. Then the ability card goes on to indicate the slash damage. When activated, you enter into shadow mode, which allows you to mark enemies simply by looking directly at them and always applying 3 marks. At any point, you may deactivate shadow mode by recasting the ability to unleash your shadow clones on the marks. If an enemy should leave your range while the shadow mode is active, that enemy will lose its marks and refund you the energy cost. Each strike by a shadow clone will remove 1 mark and deal damage as shown on the ability card. This damage bypasses armor and applies a slash proc too. Unlike slash procs from other Warframes, all of Ash's slash procs deal 25% more damage and last 50% longer, making them far more punishing. The shadow clones will leap from enemy to enemy, mark to mark, carrying out attack upon attack until all marks are used up or all marked enemies are dead. You'll see the slash procs continue to tick on surviving enemies for the full duration. That is the whole extent of the visible portion of Bladestorm. You can improve the attack speed of the clones with unconditional attack speed modifiers to your melee like Prime Fury, and you can increase the damage with the Steel Charge aura, as well as a select few other things like stacking combo. On your melee itself though, it would seem from the damage numbers that nothing else really matters. Prime Pressure Point, critical mods, elemental mods, even finishing touch all seem to have no effect on Bladestorm's damage. As far as Bladestorm, the ability, is concerned, this is true. However, the shadow clones Ash summons are no mere holographic projections. They are more like Wukong's Wuclone, a wholly separate entity summoned by Ash and using Ash's melee weapon. When the shadow clone delivers the Bladestorm ability damage, consuming a mark, the shadow clone may also perform a shadow finisher. This shadow finisher seems to be connected to the animation chosen at random, or otherwise it's just inconsistent, as it may apply 1 shadow finisher, 2 shadow finishers, or occasionally no shadow finisher at all. I'm being very specific in my terminology here to separate it from the ability damage, which, among other things, always hits once per mark unless dispelled. The shadow finisher performed by the shadow clone is considered stealthy, therefore getting a stealth damage bonus according to your melee weapon's level. It doesn't however gain any additional multipliers from stealth finisher modifiers. Each hit will use your weapon's damage and damage mods including condition overload, half the bonus of your elemental mods as standard for finishers, finisher bonuses like finishing touch, and can roll critical chance based on your modded weapon stats too. Critical hits are additive to the stealth damage bonus. If you have a fully ranked melee weapon for an 8 times stealth damage bonus, a 3 times critical damage bonus, and land an orange crit, you'll get a total of 12 times damage. For this reason, critical hits aren't that useful on Ash, as you can mod for other benefits instead. On top of using your weapon stats, the shadow finisher will also apply a forced slash proc, regardless of the weapon being used. The trick behind all this is that as the shadow finisher is being delivered by a companion, you don't get to see the damage numbers from the attack nor ongoing status effects it applies. The shadow finisher hits almost but not quite simultaneously with the Bladestorm ability, giving you anywhere from 1 to 3 slash procs with each mark. This is why you can see a variation in the slash procs, yet only ever see 3 ticks of damage at once. The rest is neither bugged nor rolling a status chance, but instead entirely down to the shadow finishers landing 0, 1 or 2 times each. And this rabbit hole goes deeper. As the shadow finishers are delivered by companions holding copies of your weapon, not a pseudo exalted ability, they get no scaling from your combo multiplier nor your strength stat. They also get no scaling from raw, nor do they benefit from eclipse. On the flip side, the debuff from the extinguished dragon key also seems to have no effect on the shadow finishers, only the ability damage. So you can skip combo, you can skip strength, you can drop yourself down to just 10% strength and still deliver a strong direct hit with your clone's shadow finishers by having an appropriately modded melee weapon. I would like to think that one-shotting a level 190 Exo Gokstad Officer so hard that you don't even get a damage number to pop up can be considered strong, but I'm sure someone will disagree. Luckily for that hypothetical objection, we can go even further still. There is a very convenient ability which will amplify the damage of both your Bladestorm ability and the shadow finishers. That ability is Silence, augmented with Savage Silence. This combination will give you a bonus to your finisher damage equal to 300% multiplied by your strength, and this bonus is multiplicative with all other damage built into Bladestorm. This allows you to not only shut down enemy abilities, which is great for your overall survival, but also deliver armor bypassing lethal damage at a ludicrous level. This isn't new or anything like that, just a very important part of dialing Ashe up to the max. So, modding for a Bladestorm weapon then, you'll want to be applying heavy damage, some elemental support, faction bonuses, as well as attack speed to a max of plus 50%. Critical bonuses can and should be ignored, as they won't be useful enough to warrant taking the mod slots. For beginners, grab yourself the Sempertes. This hammer from Duviri has incredible base damage for no mastery requirement. The most effective mods in the earlier game will be Pressure Point, Finishing Touch, Fury or Quickening, and 1 or 2 elemental mods like Fever Strike, as you get them. While Ashe isn't considered an early game Warframe, this approach is for you newer players who've picked up Ashe Prime or outright bought Ashe for Platinum early on. If you're a mid-game player, you can look to either the Mastery Rank 12 Karis Prime or Mastery Rank 10 Archititron. Karis Prime will be stronger, while Archititron is never vaulted. With those, you should be aiming for the more complete build here, using Prime mods as available for damage, elemental bonus, attack speed bonus, and faction bonus. The Karis can use the Covert Lethality mod for a colossal finisher damage bonus, while the Archititron will need to use a third elemental mod in its stead. If you lack Prime Fury, use Quickening. As for the other Prime mods, use their non-Prime counterparts if needs be. They are worse, but it's still the next best option. If you wish, you may swap to Condition Overload over Spoiled Strike if you are using a status primer. That said, if you find yourself in a situation that requires a status primer, then you've probably messed up, but Condition Overload does work. Finally, for maxing out the power of shadow finishers, my top recommendation at the moment is the Inodem. This powerful little dagger has very high base damage, access to a dagger exclusive mod for finishers Covert Lethality, and has evolution bonuses available for both attack speed and finisher damage. This setup is the one that can instantly kill an Exo Gokstad Officer at level 190 before the actual ability damage can even land. This is without including any other bonuses like Savage Silence. As for Ashe himself, I'll give you 2 builds on that. The first is for players who've not yet got through the whole star chart. Where that's the case, you're likely not swimming in arcanes and top tier mods, so for a lower end approach you can go with this. I focus on a high duration for your invisibility from Smokescreen, while strength gives you extra damage from the ability to compensate for earlier game melee stats. Otherwise, a little efficiency helps keep down the cost of repeatedly casting Smokescreen. The only mod needing more than 5 pips of upgrading here is Redirection, which is there as a backup against stray shots, so the overall endo cost should be plenty manageable. You might be concerned about energy use on Ashe, given that's powering both his invisibility and his damage output here. While for Smokescreen that's absolutely a concern, Bladestorm cheats this too. If you kill an enemy before consuming the second mark on them, the energy cost for marking them is refunded. This means you can get a refund close to all the time with a suitable melee weapon, a massive boon for your sustain. If you're a bit more advanced into the game, opening up the Helminth, arbitration mods, arcanes and so on, you can work towards this setup instead. Similar to the lower tier build, we're focusing on duration, even more so in Prime continuity. We've also added in Silence and the augment Savage Silence, replacing Shuriken and Streamline as the efficiency should no longer be a concern. The reason for that is we can now rely on arcane trickery to cover invisibility most of the time. Combined with the refunds on sufficiently strong blade storms, and most of our energy drains have vanished. Stretch replaces Augur Secrets in this build to give more range on Savage Silence, and we've swapped out Redirection for Rolling Guard as a more level appropriate backup defense. Finally, for the second arcane, I recommend Molt Efficiency for yet more duration on your abilities. If you're happy with the duration, you can instead look to less impactful options like Arcane Nullifier to avoid magnetic procs, Molt Augmented for strength you don't really need, or even Arcane Bodyguard. Bodyguard will heal your companion on doing 6 melee kills in 30 seconds, which does trigger off Bladestorm and will heal Sentinels, helping to keep any mortal companion going. Curiously enough though, Bladestorm doesn't seem to trigger Arcane Reaper's self-heal and armor bonus, but then you don't need that on Ashe anyway. With all of these builds, getting and keeping melee combo is useful for your damage output, but not strictly necessary as so much damage is coming from the shadow finishing component, so that's why I've not made any focus on the combo meter. While you may be tempted to use primary or secondary dexterity for combo duration, or Ashe's Rising Storm Augment to help with the building and keeping combo, you may find it simply not needed. Worse, Bladestorm doesn't trigger the dexterity arcanes, leaving you with unstacked weapons if you wanted to use them. If you really need combo, use Naramon. I've talked long enough now. You've got the builds and the explanations. Go try out Ashe armed with the knowledge of how to use the attacks deemed so stealthy that not even the game would tell you they were there. If you found this video helpful, make sure to subscribe, and as always, mark enemies, summon shadows, and fight well, Tenno.